All right, we're tearing down the 1977 911S coupe. It should be sepia brown, as it is in the engine bay here, and we're going to paint it back to that. So we're pulling all the trim and other components to do a proper paint job on it, underneath, engine bay, trunk, body, everything. So getting ready to pull the rear bumper now. I think that the tag light is still connected, but we'll see as it comes off. Okay, not a perfect solution. I think the next step will be to pull the front faces of the tag lights in here, and then pull the studs that hold the rubber bumper guards in, and then it should be free. All right, for documentation purposes, we have a reddish wire here and a blackish wire here for the taillight. It goes like that. So we have on this side. Oh, well, interesting. There's the bumper removed. We had to disconnect the tag lights and then pull the wires through, so not a huge deal. We still have the wiring in place for both taillights, and this rear panel is still in place. It's a large reflector, and there's an aluminum panel sitting down here with some 8mm hex nuts. So those will be pulled down, and then that gives you access to the back of that panel. That'll go next. Things like this rubber, very easy to remove. It's a little hard, so I want to be careful. We're not going to reuse it, but we just want to be careful taking it off so we can reference it when ordering a new one. So this is fairly tricky as far as a piece to remove without damaging the piece. That's because it's a plastic panel with plastic structure and then metal studs, and you can see some places the whole plastic piece just breaks off. Some places the stud pulls, and that was the case here and here. The studs were just spinning in the plastic, so it made the most sense just to pull them because there was no way to free the nuts off the studs without pulling it. So a piece like this, I have to do my research. I don't know if there's a solution out here where I could maybe plastic weld some new mounts on. Technically with the studs in place, it could be mounted to the car, but you're gonna have a whole edge here that's not hanging on, and this corner and everything, so we really don't want to do that. So we may have to replace it, repair it. Not sure what the plan's gonna be there. Got to do some research. I wouldn't do that on nice paint, but we're painting the car, so that just shows you all the road dirt that's picked up over the years. Don't like to use that much force, but it's off, nothing harmed. Unplugs very easily, and there you have it. Factory Bosch H4 headlight. I had installed these new rubber gaskets a while ago when I switched from the US spec so-called sugar scoop headlights. They seem fine. May replace them again once the car is painted, just depending on some various factors. I know that these mounting points are for the US headlights, and it made that one pretty hard to fit. So if anyone knows, when you convert them to the H4s, are you supposed to remove these tabs? I'm not sure. I'm gonna leave them for now, but if anyone knows, I'd love to know. So we'll move to the next side. So this is pretty common on 911 headlights. I forgot this one was this way, but almost every car that I've worked on, somebody strips the hole and they put a bigger screw in. So one thing I'll be doing on this car is putting a helicoil or something of that nature in, so I can run a factory H4 screw rather than what was on there with the sugar scoop, which is something off the hardware store shelf. But it's got a coarse thread, and as we have it out, it's quite a bit thicker, so not ideal. Yeah, actually this side comes off easier. I think it was that side that was tricky to fit. But they're congruent in that they have the tabs. So not really sure, again, what the story is there, but definitely before putting the car back together and before painting inside of here, I'll get down to the bottom of what the story is with these tabs and what the best direction is on those. All right, using a similar method with the same tool, I'm slowly taking off the window trim. This is done so that the gasket for the window, which is a little hard, but not as bad as some I've seen, can compress and the glass can be taken out. It's possible to paint one of these cars with the glass in, but you'll always have what you can kind of see here, which is a little bit of overspray on the rubber gasket. And in reality, if you're painting the car for any reason, usually the gasket's old and sometimes it's very cracked and can let water through, so it's always good to replace. One thing I'm finding a little bit tricky here is this stainless steel trim is very malleable, so pulling it out without bending it is proving to be pretty tricky. I'm sure I'll have to do some straightening of the trim off the car, get it all straight, polish it up, put it back on when the time is right. But yeah, just working at a section at a time, trying to put ample pressure, but not too much so that I bend it. There goes that corner. And just keep working it around. Now the tricky thing here, this edge, is getting it now, but on these sections, if you go here, it's pretty easy to get out. This inner edge doesn't have as much bite, but I'm finding that twisting it does it. Except, there you go, plastic tool starts to crack and break. So, just gotta keep working it. You got a little bit of a bend there. Now, as we move to this section, we've got to pop this over. This is tricky as well. Sometimes they want to move, sometimes not. I have to figure out which side it wants to slide to. It goes nicely there. And it looks like, yeah, it was already a little bit over. It wasn't centered, which is not a great thing, but that means that we can just leave it in the position it is now, because we can see the split between the two pieces, and keep working this piece out. Method. Starting to rise up there. And that side's out. It bent quite a bit coming out. So I know someone who straightens stainless steel trim. So most likely what I'll do is contact him and kind of ask him what the go-to method is and get it all straightened out, polished up, and on the shelf, ready to go back in the car once it's painted. We're gonna slowly start working this side now. See how it is. The tool got quite bit up on the last one, so if we can't get enough off of this one, we may wait, get some new tools, and just hold off for now, but let's just see. So far, pretty tight. kind of going in it from all angles here. It's putting up quite a fight. I see that it's raised there with a little bit of bend in it, albeit. So maybe we start up there. All right, I've got what I think is the perfect method. Well, I think it's a pretty good method. I was noticing that pushing against this thin edge here was pretty harmful to the trim face, created small bends in it. But if you take the tool and run it under the bottom, it's got a spine in the middle, which is stronger. It slowly bends a little bit, but pulls it right out of there quickly, and it's free of damaging the face itself, which is what really matters. The rest can be straightened fairly easily. So as we come along here, I'm sure it's going to destroy the tool, but it doesn't matter one bit. Yep. Nice. All right, so the trim is all off here. It's pretty dirty in here, so I'll at least vacuum and wipe it out because that will interfere with the gasket coming up. And go ahead and move to the front and then pull the glass when we're ready. So on the front here, of course, before removing the windshield, we'll want to take the wipers off, and it's a really neat design. The only other car that I've really installed the full wiper arm on was a 63 Corvette, and those basically have a piece coming up with splines on it, and the end of the wiper arm, you know, with a rubber mallet sits down on there. That can be a real pain to take off. The Germans always come up with interesting things, so I was looking here. I was like, how does that work? I've never taken a set of these off before. And I was like, pulled this, clicks open, and if you can see, there is a nut holding it on. Whether there will be some corrosion in the splines around here, inside of here, not sure, but we can go ahead and pull that nut and the other one, and the wipers will come off. There's the driver's side. Just out of curiosity, let's see how much give there is. Decent amount. So, with both sides out, should be able to come out, but that's going to be the next step to try and figure out. I've heard that some people will kind of cut it down the center, so we might end up having to do that. We'll see. Needless to say, we will be a lot more careful fitting the trim when the car is going back together with new paint. But that's the whole windshield trim removed. So the next thing we should be able to do is just pop the windshield out. I've read this online that, at least with this chrome trim out, if you start pushing at the corners, it should come out fairly easily. So let's see. Yeah, we're free on that side. Came out very easily. Free over there. Let's pop the other side and we'll carry it out of the way. second thought, maybe if we come to this side, pop it out of the seal and work it sideways, maybe that'll be the thing to do. Seems a little bit tighter on the other side. Don't want to break the glass at all for certain, but maybe if we go in the middle. That's the ticket. There we are. Theoretically now, it'll all come off. Not too heavy. Wow. Incredible. There we have it. That's certainly a big and somewhat scary step for someone who's never done this before, but we can see all in here. What I'm super happy with, and I was kind of expecting this, there's no rust in these corners, which is super common. Granted, this is a 77, so the second year of galvanized bodies, and there's a tiny bit of surface rust in this corner here, but really happy with that. So that's great. And see the headliner all up in here, and we'll definitely be putting a headliner in this car. I have one in the mail from Autos International. So wow, super exciting. All right, and pull the rear.
It's about to pop out of the whole thing itself. Easy. Okay, that's that.
The other side, a little bit.
Getting at the bottom is going to be a little difficult. Push middle now. Okay.
Yeah, I figure once we've got the top, we can just run it that way.
Okay.
All right, this side's up. Pull that, and then I'll work this one up.
My question is, where's this wire going to be?
Yeah, no. Unless they already disconnected it.
No, it's right there.
Huh.
Looks like you need to take this.
I wonder if it's held down with just these.
I think it is.
Okay, just lay it down there. Look, factory paint. Woohoo.
What's left of it?
Yeah. I'll take any section I can get.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, I think it's fine.
All right, for the rear defrost, we've got a plug coming in with a red and white and a black and white. And if we look here, the black and white sits on the left part of the clip.
You mean
black
and red?
Yeah, whatever. The black and red sits here on the left part of the clip that's not got the pin, the plastic set pin coming out of it, and it plugs into this connector. It plugs into this connector, which is part of the wiring harness. And it only fits one way on there, so that's good to go. Yeah, so after taking the insulation out of the way that goes around the wire, it comes up through here, and it exits through a hole right there, almost directly above the fuel filter here.
Yep.
All right. Now, the factory rear glass is removed carefully.
It only took longer than expected.
How about that? Incredible. As we look in here, there is our factory bitter chocolate brown paint. Factory marking here, very cool. is suspended on. Okay, just have to disconnect the turn signal wires and then put it on the shelf and move to the lower valance. Taking a closer look at the wiring here, I decided I'm going to disconnect the wires on the side of these fittings that sit in the headlight bucket, which connect here. So we have a gray and red going into the single connector, a dual connector. We've got a brown and then a gray and black. Volkswagen part, nice. So now we're on to removing the front valance. So there's two ways you can do this on a car optioned with fog lights. You can kind of disassemble the fog light and unplug the wire, leave it dangling, or run it into the trunk. Or you can go into the trunk itself, follow the wire, and it's one of three coming in here, and it's the middle gray one here that plugs into these. So blue to yellow, black to brown. Let's check on the other side. You can see the fog coming in. There's those, blue to yellow, black to brown, same thing. So we'll just quickly unplug those two. The wires will come down. We've got a bolt and nut combo here, and then stationary stud and a nut down here behind the battery. So we'll go ahead and do those now. Voila. Looks like there could be some body color behind here, so we'll clean it up now that we've got it off the car. Went ahead and pulled the driver's side quarter window. The passenger side is still in place, but I'm about to pull that one as well. I also pulled the trim piece that sits below the quarter window. Something to note here, there are these little rubber gaskets. All right, we've got the 3 Phillips head screws off the back system here, which actuates the quarter window, and then 4 Allens off the front. So we should be good to go. The tabs, which the Allens go through, are kind of in between 2 pieces of metal, so it is a bit of a push coming out, so you kind of have to work it a little bit. Keeping in mind, this glass is not flexible. There we go. Got the bottom. Stiff. It's moving a little bit. Whew. That's freed up. You can see these 2 slide into the body, and when you open up the quarter windows and you pop these out, all that's happening is there's a little bit of springiness to this metal, and they bend a little bit. So we'll pull this from below, which is also Phillips heads. Alright, all the fastenings taken off this trim piece, we're ready to remove it. So this trim piece is interesting because, as you see as it comes off, it curls over the seam weld here, or the seam, which is spot welded here, and then it comes around into the jamb here. It's secured by screws with gaskets, and then I don't know how it was from the factory, but it has some caulking under this fold, which I noticed on the other side. So what I kind of experienced in the other one, actually this one's okay, here, is that you can get it free, but as it comes off, this back piece starts to come off, and then kind of want to work it evenly to avoid what I'll show you next, which is you don't work it evenly. See, it got a little bit of a bend to it right in there, and luckily it's a very soft trim piece, so it can be bent back into place. But that's just something to note there. You want to go up as evenly and as straight as possible. So that looks good. We can see some factory chocolate brown underneath right there. Even more here actually. So very cool. The more that I look at this here, not sure whether it's caulking or a piece of rubber. So I'll have to research that. Perhaps there's a factory part, which is a rubber trim piece under here. So we'll figure that out. All right, purely a reference video. Looking at a small Phillips head here, a slightly larger one, which I've already bagged, that goes up here. Now on this door, we've got the lock adjustment. It just kind of slips off of there. It goes up and down like that. And we've got the mirror adjustment. So let's look at this. We've got light brown all the way to the left. And we've got green. Below green is blue. Then we've got light brown with a black stripe. And below that is white. And then all the way to the right is black and purple. If we don't put these back in the right order, you'll go left. Maybe the mirror goes up, maybe it goes sideways. So gotta put that all back together correct. Okay, looking at the speaker right here, definitely looks like there's fasteners that come through from the back, but effectively, so it sits like this with the slats flat. And effectively it just came off here. And if you look at it, there's some like black caulking or something. So I have a feeling that the fasteners may have been broken previously. I probably did break that one. That's my fault, but it is what it is. And guess we'll get new speaker grills there or figure something out. These speakers themselves look pretty crispy. I've used them before, they work, but what we'll probably end up doing is leave this head unit in. It's a Blaupunk Monterey, which is a later radio, 3.2 Carrera era. So we'll leave that in and maybe do some things on it. But then these we'll replace with something that's the same exact size and hide them under factory speaker grills. No one will ever know, but you'll have great sound. All right, we're disassembling the driver's side door card for two reasons. One is this will give us the ability to pull the remainder of the side glass. And as we go through and paint things, one, we'll pull the doors themselves because obviously all the jambs have to be painted, and the backs of the doors seen here, and the border is right here. On this side, it's all black right now, so it's hard to tell, but this side is going to be body color in the jambs and obviously the outside of the door. But any surface that the door card touches, and even a little bit beyond that, right at the corner here and right at the edge here, looks like it's maybe a brush texture right now. I'm not sure. No, I guess it's not. It's just sprayed on, but it's basically a very matte black, and it's very distinctive when the cars say chocolate brown. When you have the matte black and chocolate brown, right when you open the door, you see it. So it's a very proper way to do the door, and it's how the factory did it. So go ahead and smaller screw than the others, or it appears to be at least. And free. Allen for CIS adjustment. So I do believe this interior is 100% original. Looks like there was some re-gluing done, which is not surprising. I'm probably going to do the same. I'm not going to be replacing hardly any material in the interior except the front seat covers, the steering wheel cover, and the headliner. The front seats have pretty large splits in them. The steering wheel is completely separated, and the headliner has a couple holes here and there, and you can only really replace the headliner properly with the glass out. So glass is out, we're painting the car, it's time to do the headliner. All right, so now we're down to the two last components of the door card itself, which is the door pull and the locking mechanism. Let's see, it turns here. So the locking mechanism has this little black cap. It's plastic, pretty brittle. So what I used was a little orange pick tool and just got right up under it. Be advised, once it goes loose, it's got these little tabs and it springs out and it flew over here. So be aware of that. Now we've got an Allen holding on the lock, and then looks like 4 Allens holding on the latch. Here, the latch you can see is loose. There's a pin coming through outside of the door. I just used my hand to pop it out of its plastic retainer. That seems to work well. Let's give the lock a try first. So, I think 76 was the first year of these, or maybe 77. And then they were used obviously through SC, and they're a pretty good lock system. So something to be aware of here is the earlier ones, you could do all the locking from here. On these cars, you can lock the door from the top, but to unlock, you have to use this. So we've left the car unlocked. Now that the top of the door is off, you could do both from here. But anyways, that's done. Let's see there. Locked, unlocked, and we're good to go there. Interesting. Right, we've got the bottom ones pulled, and it looks like that whole mechanism is free, save for the pin coming through. Now we'll do the tops. Had to use a 3/8 for the bottom because I didn't have the proper 1/4 inch extensions. So obviously when I go to reinstall, I'll want to have those extensions on hand, or quite a long set of metric Allens. Either way, I'm going to have something better to use there. With that, free. So good to go there. Gonna pause for today. We've got the panel fully undressed, and so the only thing fastening it at this point should be actually I don't know what's fastening it. Looks like a screw here on the back side. There's definitely some things holding it down, so there's a clip right there. That's unclipped. Take a screwdriver. First, let's take this hardware from here. Go ahead and put it in our bag. If not, it will get lost, and that just becomes a big job tracking that down. And we've got a Phillips head holding in this little plastic square. That popped off. That's these corners free. Further ado, a couple more clips up here. I want to be careful. That is one cork 1977 door card removed. Don't see any markings here, but interestingly enough, you've got your power window slots, and the upholstery comes around the back here. So we'll have to do some more research about door card material. To me, it all looks correct, but I've never had one of these door cards off before. Looking at the door itself, looks really good. There's some dirt inside the door, as you'd expect, and a little bit of brown paint here and there, so that's interesting. The correct way to do this black paint is you really just do the borders, and this section in the middle would stay brown, so Maybe if we can wet sand off and have the brown here and then respray the black, we'll do that. So we'll kind of play around with that one. Just see if we can't pull this window frame off. With that out, it should allow us to pull the window down all the way, which it is currently, and it should allow us to pull this out with the rest of the fasteners removed. So let's take a look. Stick it. One. All right, that should be everything that secures it down. So, let's see if it has any. Wow. Zero play to it. That's interesting. There we go. Back starting to move a little bit. Not much give on the front. Maybe it's still secured down something. I don't know. Okay. This Allen has been holding it in. Let's see. So looks like we have another 5 right down here next to the speaker. That holding it in as well. That might be our ticket. Let's see. That's it. Well, that gets us the first inch at least. loose. It seems to be loose as well. Maybe if we go all the way back down front. That might be our key to getting it off. These hold in with some clips. Okay. I think they're all intact. Let's see. All right, what it came down to was this bracket here was hitting the inside of the door. Should slide out now. So sure enough, we were able to remove the speaker, and it's right back here. So should be the larger of our two sizes, and H6. So we'll have to take that into account when reassembly comes. So this is how it looks. This is the way it was oriented in the car. This facing up, this facing out towards the door, and holding on to an Allen coming on in here. And that's what it looks like. That makes things a lot simpler. And with that, the side window is removed. I just figured I would do a quick mechanical update to tie in with the video. Here's the muffler I was running. Now this is for a 65 through 73, so I don't think I'm gonna run it anymore because it's a vintage version. I can modify it to fit a G-body, but I could never reverse it, and I can't buy another one. So I'll probably run this more stock style Dansk for now. I'll just restore that. Here's the matching numbers, magnesium 915. Just getting ready to pull it apart and reseal it. It performed fine, so we're gonna take a look at everything, but should be just a simple reseal. The engine, we've completed a top end rebuild on it, and just mocking up the CIS fuel injection, looking at buying all new lines, seals, etc. So we'll get that all together and show it when it's complete. Well, with the side window removed, we're just about ready to strip the car. I've got to go home for a week, so I'm going to end the video here. But take a look. Almost no trim. We've got to pull the headliner and the sunroof and the side mirror and the door handles. So certainly still a little bit of a list, but we can start stripping some areas, at least as tests, and kind of work our way through it. Some things we found along the way while going through this process, good and bad. Found a lot of original paint underneath, which is fantastic. So a lot of that we'll just leave alone and touch up in areas. And then looking at the front here, a little spot where there was a little bit of filler work. I noticed a bubble, so we'll have to do a little bit of metal work there and a little bit on the rocker, but could be much worse, so no problem. We'll get it done. See you on the next one. Thanks for watching.